Are we back? All right, give me a second to pull these. I had to reboot. Give me a second to pull these documents up again. Lost all my highlights, unfortunately. How much of the discussion did you guys, did it cut off before I got through all of the Delaware law stuff? Or did it at least let me get through that? What's up, Urban Ape? Juicy, Anya. You guys, can you hear me? Did it let me get through all of the Delaware law stuff before it cut me off? There were like 4 sentences in here. Okay, so we talked about it. We talked about this, right? The court likely would not have invalidated APE. And then I was saying that part of the reason why is the judge, the court, would need to consider the harm to anybody who didn't get APE as a distribution. Like, let's just say Johnny off the street bought APE. He's a third-party good faith purchaser. He would be harmed if APE was ruled illegal. So the judge has to take that into effect also. Take that into account. But moreover, beyond that, they get into the Section 242B, where the plaintiffs had asserted that AMC wasn't even allowed to create APE, right? And here in this paragraph, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. They walk through how they, the way I'm reading this, they came to realize that they were not actually correct there. Section 242B requires any special right for shares to be expressly granted in a corporation's certificate of incorporation. You guys who follow me, we've been talking about this for a couple months since the lawsuit was filed. And I told you that it was in there, that it was special rights were granted back in 2013. And the plaintiff goes on to say, AMC's certificate of incorporation did not grant voting rights exclusively to holders of common stock. Yes, that is correct. They have in the original articles of incorporation that they can assign voting rights to preferred stock, for example. And that's what the next sentence says. Moreover, AMC's certificate of incorporation expressly gives the board the ability to issue preferred shares with voting rights. That is, I'll put that in green here. And I believe we showed you that maybe a couple months ago. That blank check preferred stock, it was in there from day one. It gives AMC the right to do whatever it wants, and that is a very common provision for corporations that incorporate in Delaware. And they finish up by saying, in fact, AMC previously had outstanding shares that had far superior rights to the common stock. And that is those Class B shares that Wanda had back in the day, which are all canceled now. Since Wanda sold them, they were all canceled out. So once the once the plaintiff kind of like realized all this, I think they backed away from the argument that they had any standing under Section 242B. Everything that AMC did was within their rights to do with APE, as far as creating it, assigning voting rights, things like that. So then the argument becomes, well, was fiduciary duty breached by selling a bunch to Antara to sway the vote? So that's where the settlement comes in. I'm sure that's what the plaintiffs were saying. Like, okay, even if it was legal, you still harmed common shareholders by creating APE and essentially diluting AMC. So let's keep going. And that's what they say in this next paragraph. Taking into account plaintiffs' belief that the use of APEs in the Antara agreement was inequitable and likely a breach of fiduciary duty, the plaintiffs nevertheless determined that the most beneficial, the most appropriate way to benefit common stockholders was through a settlement. Sorry, it's not going to be as fast because I lost my highlights on the document. Defendants have denied and continue to deny any allegations of wrongdoing, yada, yada, yada. Typical words that you see in these documents. It's going to be 7.5 shares for every one. There's going to be fractional shares will be paid out in cash. Payment will be issued once the settlement is approved by the court. The other thing, a lot of people were wondering, how are the attorneys going to get paid? The plaintiffs, Allegheny's attorneys. The judge has the sole discretion if the attorneys get paid and how much they get paid. That is what 54, 55, and 56 say. So this settlement will go through even if the plaintiff's attorneys in the judge's judgment don't deserve any payment. This settlement's going through. Now, she's not going to not pay them. She's going to agree to pay them something. In the settlement agreement, it says they agree that it will not exceed $20 million. But everything, what they're going to get paid, is totally up to the judge. What's going to happen on June 29th and June 30th? At the settlement hearing, the court is going to determine if the settlement is fair, reasonable, and adequate to the settlement class. They're going to basically lift the status quo order, write a judgment to, determine whether a judgment should be entered dismissing the action with prejudice and lifting the status quo order. I'll just read what it says. It's easier than trying to explain it. And determine if the attorneys on the plaintiff's side get paid. And then many of you are interested in this. On the 29th and 30th of June, they will hear and rule on any objections to the proposed settlement or to the application that the plaintiff's attorneys have made to get paid. You could even object to that if you want. And finally, there's a catch-all here. Consider any other matters that might properly be brought before the court. All right. How to write the court. The date when it is due by is not filled in yet. As soon as I know that, I'll post it and tweet it out. There is an email here, AMC settlement objections at blbglaw.com. Again, now, if you're filing an objection to the settlement, you're not mailing it to the court. You're emailing or writing to the plaintiff's attorneys. They will validate it and then provide it to the special master, who then looks over it and ultimately gets it to the judge. There is also a mail address here. I'm not going to read all this out, but I'll leave it on the screen for a second. They say down here a little lower, it is preferable to email any materials that you wish the court to consider. So I guess they would prefer you email. That email again is AMC settlement objections at blbglaw.com. Well, there's going to be a lot of people posting this info. All of this info is going to be on AMC's website, Twitter, and an 8K. Don't worry if you don't get it in today's video. Just going over it at a high level. What must be in your objection or statement of support or any filing or any submission? You must state your objection or support is being filed with respect to this particular case number. You must put in there your name, address, phone number, and if you're represented by an attorney, all of their information. You must sign it. You must put in a specific written statement of the objection or your statement of support and the specific reasons for the objection or support, including any filings that you wish for the court to consider. And you must include documentation sufficient to prove whether you object or support that you are a member of the settlement class, i.e., that you owned AMC between August 3rd, 2022 and the date of mailing in your letter or emailing. What is sufficient documentation? It says you have to put in a copy of your original official brokerage account statement or a screenshot or an authorized statement from your broker. And obviously, they want to see your name, the number of shares, when you owned them, when you bought them. And I heard them say on the phone call, just block out your account number except for the last 4 digits. There'll be, I'm sure, more instructions in the official notification that's going to come out. Anonymous letters are not sufficient. You can write in a letter of objection or support. You don't have to show up. It's okay just to send in an email or a letter. You may not, however, speak to the court in person unless you first file and serve a written objection. So don't just show up if you haven't sent something in. Is how I'm reading that. All right, that's basically it. That is the recap of, these 2 documents. Now, your questions, your chats, your fan mail and your hate mail. Could the lawyers be paid in shares in lieu of cash? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't have the answer to that. Is it still $2 to submit a letter? It doesn't say in here because you're emailing or mailing the plaintiff's attorney, not the court. So it didn't say in here anything about $2 a page. That is a good question. We'll try and get an answer to that. Since I didn't see anything specifically about that, right now I would think no, but don't take that as gospel. Let's wait for the official notice to be posted on AMC's website. They will have to put all of this information there. Urban Ape says, did they bring the lawsuit to get paid? I don't know. I mean, have to ask them that. Who pays the lawyers? AMC, the company, or AMC's insurance will pay according to what was in the document. They have executive, I guess, I don't know what the right term is but it's a type of executive litigation insurance. And I expect that insurance policy might pay some or all of it. We're not frozen, are we? All right, looks good. GB says, why doesn't Adam Aaron buy his own company shares? I've talked about that before, GB. I mean, it's very, I think it's pretty uncommon. I know what you're saying. Like, you want to see a company where the executives are buying shares, right? I think that's much more common in smaller companies. And I definitely, I understand it's bullish when you see insiders buying, and it's considered bearish when you see them selling. But for these large major corporations where the vast majority of their income is from awarded shares, it's not uncommon to see them selling, and it's not uncommon to see them not buying. Like, if I was a certified financial advisor, and I've been in this position, like right when I was in the corporate world, I got granted stock options and I sold them on a regular basis because the vast majority of my wealth was all tied up in one company. What happens if out of the blue, that company I'm working for or the industry I was in tanked? All my wealth is gone. So prudent financial planning, when you're awarded compensation in the form of shares, anybody with common sense about basic financial planning says spread out your risk. You do not want to hold everything in one company. I get it. It's a vote of confidence. If you're a small entrepreneur with a small cap company and you got everything riding on this, and that's a little bit different. But I think, for the vast majority of these big companies, that is a bit of a straw man argument to expect all these people to be buying shares all the time when they're awarded millions of shares. It's more likely that they're going to sell them when they see an opportunity to make money, or they need money for their personal lives, or just to diversify the risk. David, many blessings to you, friend. Good luck on your graduations. What will happen to APE shares? When the settlement is done and then the paperwork is filed, the APE shares will cease to exist and they'll convert over to AMC. What is the conversion rate for APE to AMC? Each APE will become one AMC. And then they'll reverse split. And if you have 1,000 APE right now and 1,000 AMC, you'll end up getting 2,000 AMC. Then they'll reverse split, and that will divide by 10. So you'll have 200. The price will go up by 10. So your position will remain the same. You have less shares at a higher price. I'm not going to argue with anyone who says, I see in the chat, BS, if you believed in your company, you don't sell. I mean, go ask a CFP or a CFA. If you don't believe me, look, go ask a professional. They're going to tell you the same thing. Noisy Corax, yes, the stuck in the proxy statement at the very last page, Appendix A, I think it was, they're going to reset the preferred shares back to 50 million. So they'll have those 50 million blank check preferred stock that they've been carefully tucked in the back pocket since 2013 and weren't used until August of last year. Those will reset from 40 million to 50 million. The 10 million they used to create Ape, they'll get those 10 million back. They're ostensibly there for anti-takeover, but as we learned, and this is not common, but it's not unheard of what AMC did. They can literally use it for anything. That's why they're called blank check preferred stock. Candace says, if we're being honest, they sold because the share went so high. Absolutely. Absolutely, Candace. I think it'd be foolish for anyone to say otherwise. Of course they sold because the share went high. They're not in this play for a squeeze. They saw a $5 stock go to $60 and they sold. And they weren't the only ones. A lot of people made money that day, that week. That was their right. And they have windows when they can't sell. And they got lucky that it happened in a window when they could. In general advice that you'll hear echoing around the halls of Wall Street is when the executives are selling en masse, you ought to pay attention. So I hope you guys remember that for next time. I certainly will. Spanish John says, what is it? The split will be 1 for 10. The reverse split. Yeah. Sold out. Sorry, the bot got you there. He says, does anyone feel like this is delayed so they can force CBDC and Fed now? I've seen that on some what I call conspiracy channels. Look, if on my channel, when I talk about CBDC, first of all, Fed now is just like Venmo. It's just a way to pay your bills. It has nothing to do with the stock market. CBDC is probably not, although I'm not a big fan of it, and I will be talking out against it more, the people that are pushing the content for clicks saying CBDC's happening next week, or they're delaying a payout or a squeeze so they can pay you in CBDC, I think that is all just clickbait conspiracy level stuff. And I've done several videos on CBDC. You can go check my playlist. And I understand it's not popular to, the conspiracy people hate me for having a different opinion than them. But our banking system is very complex. And although I think our administration is moving us that way because they want the control, and I have a very scathing CBDC video ready to put out this week. Don't mistake me telling you my opinion on timing for being a fan of it. I'm not a fan of CBDC. I'm not defending it. I am very concerned about it. But nothing in this play or any play in Wall Street is timed to CBDC, in my opinion. And it's going to be a while before we have one. I'd be shocked if we had it in the next year. They're piloting it and they're doing it at an institutional level, but like for the Fed to get rid of dollars and control everything through a CBDC, our system is just too complex to rush that out on the time frame that people are telling you right now on the clickbait channels. I've noticed that people tend to have conspiracy theories about a lot of things latch on to the CBDC thing. And you'll see that if you watch their content. And I'm kind of like the opposite. I try and view things rationally, logically, and our banking system is just not going to allow that to happen quickly. I could be wrong, right? Maybe they're ready to launch it tomorrow. And if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong at the time. But I've been saying for a year, while our friend up in New York was telling you a year ago that this is all tied to crypto and CBDCs, I was a year ago saying no, not anytime soon. Blazin says when Tesla did a 3-for-1 split, he got 3 more shares. Yeah, and GameStop too. Like the split or reverse split, guys, it's pointless. Like, do you think right now Tesla shareholders are happy that they got 3 times more shares, or GME? Like, how did that work out for them, having 4 times the shares? Splits and reverse splits get blamed for a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it's the fundamentals that decide what direction a stock goes. It's always as easy as looking at income statement and a balance sheet. That's why when I made calls, many calls. You can go back through all my videos and look at the stocks we've talked about that everybody's bag holding: AVZT, Mullen, Revlon, MMTLP, BBBY. Like, I can open up the financial statements and tell you with a high degree of certainty where this company is going to end up. It's just a matter of time. It has nothing to do with Wyckoffs or chart reading. If the financials are a wreck, it doesn't matter about a split or a reverse split. It's going to go the direction it was going to go. So Tesla was overvalued. That's why it came down. GameStop got overvalued. That's why it came down. And many of these companies that are trading at 10 cents that did a reverse split and then they went up to $5 and came right back down, well, they would have gone from 10 cents to 1/1000th of a cent. The reverse split was meaningless. The descent was going to continue no matter what, because they're worthless companies. Am I putting in a stalking horse bid for Bed Bath & Beyond? No. Unfortunately, I feel like the most likely outcome for Bed Bath & Beyond, like I've been saying for a few months, is, and especially in the last few weeks, is that the common shareholders are, unless there was an update I missed today, or we get some surprise, even if there is a bid in May for the company, I don't think the common shareholders are going to get anything. The debt holders will be lucky if they get fully paid. I think if you're buying Bed Bath & Beyond, just recognize that's a 1 in 1,000 shot that you get lucky. Don't overload that. Just, if you want to play it, hey, I'm not going to talk you out of it. Just don't put $10,000 in there if that's your last $10,000, because you're most likely to lose it. That would be my guess, not financial advice. Have not looked into tops recently. Many, maybe a year ago I looked at them. Same with Regal. Like those guys, companies where their stock is going down and they have no revenue or falling revenue or massive problems on the balance sheet, I have no interest in buying those companies unless they're moving. When they get those little runs from 50 cents to $8, I'll play it for a couple days, but you got to know when to get out. For the most part, don't believe anybody's price targets. Get in early, get out early. Have fun, but don't get stuck bag holding these dumpster fires. There's a lot of people giving out advice that have no idea how to read filings, look at warrants, look at convertible debt, look at potential dilution, look at the financial health of the company. Most of these are just train wrecks. Anya had a question, someone said. Grandpa Barney, what's up? Oh, at 38, hey, Grandpa Barney's listening to us on the airplane. Bucket list, Grandpa. Safe travels. He's coming back from Hawaii, guys, him and the wife. Yeah, the FTDs vanish after reverse split. I have no idea what Adam Aaron was talking about. I never even thought what would, I didn't put much thought into the FTDs anyways, because my view on it is institutional lender is going to say, look, it's converting from ape to AMC. I know there are people pushing this, the shorts must cover before the conversion. That is not anything I have ever said. I think that whatever ape obligations there are will just transfer over to AMC. So if you ask me, am I upset that Adam Aaron said that? Well, I don't even expect any action from the short interest on ape, much less the FTD. So. C-Rob says, if we're talking fundamentals, why would anyone invest in AMC? That is a good question, C-Rob. I mean, many people got in the play in early 2021 when it was not about fundamentals, 100%. And everybody said they knew that back then. They were coming off of a year with no movies. They had almost no income, $5 billion in debt. It was a horror show, fundamentally and financially. But the company was able to raise $2 billion in cash, giving them a 2-year runway to get back to profits. And we still had a relatively bullish market. Then November of 2021 happened, and everybody got rug pulled. Everybody in the market, not just AMC. And so many companies, including AMC, are fighting, the decline of the equities markets due to high interest rates. AMC is fortunate that during that same time period, the fundamentals, the box office is increasing and streaming services are under pressure. So now it has transitioned from what was clearly just a short squeeze play in 2021 to now we're in 2023. The company's almost out of cash, which is, I'm going to keep saying that. Even though I think that in 2024, we have a really good chance of having multiple profitable quarters. We are in very close peril of not having enough cash to make it through this year if this reverse split and conversion doesn't go through and allow the company to raise money. I put out my video last night. I'm predicting Q1 is going to be about a $230 million loss. Q2, we have a chance to make a little bit of profit. What that profit ends up being obviously depends on how good all of the movies go. We're only 1 month into a 3-month quarter. So I'm making my assumptions for Q2 based on a $9 billion total year box office. So we had to make some assumptions about how good Q2 through Q4 are going to be. And then, so we should make money in Q2 if we're lucky. And then we're probably going to lose money in Q3, another $240 million. So that, if you look at, close to $500 million in losses, you can subtract out whatever we make in Q2. It just puts a company the size of AMC in a really dangerous cash position if they only had $600 million left on the balance sheet. And since my niche is kind of reading financial statements and predicting what's going to happen, I can easily see this play going into the toilet rapidly if the company can't raise cash. So the people who are saying MOAS or bankruptcy could get their way if this settlement is delayed past Q3. If this settlement goes through, all of my concerns about cash get resolved, but obviously I understand. I'm not an idiot. I understand your concerns about dilution and having less shares. I get it. But so the ideal situation for all of us to win would be something to happen, a catalyst before the conversion and reverse split, right? Then everybody wins. You guys can we all can get the price run up that we want. You can choose to exit. And then the conversion and reverse split happens. The company can raise cash and they can survive easily until 2024. That's the ideal scenario. If there's no catalyst, though, before this, then you got to ask yourself, if this were delayed, like till the end of the year, can you admit to yourself by looking at the balance sheet that there is some risk of the company running out of cash? So I got to look at the whole picture. I understand every camp where you're coming from, but I can't just be in one camp. I have an obligation to talk to everybody. And I certainly can't be here advocating for bankruptcy. It's my way or bankruptcy. That's just, it's not a good look. Bam says, is arbitrage back on, or will the court date decision delay that? I don't know exactly how to answer that question with the 60 days. Once the judge signs off on this proposal and gets it, on the docket for June 29th and 30th, there's still some legal risk that objections or something else means that it doesn't go through on June 29th or 30th, right? There's always legal risk until it's done. So I think there'll be some jockeying around for position. I think that if I had to guess, this is just a guess, that over the next 60 days, it'd be not unusual to see APE go up and AMC come down a little bit if everybody's assuming that the settlement's going to go through, but I don't know what everybody is assuming. And everybody really means the people with big money. What are they doing? That's what's moving this stock right now. So you're asking me to guess how people with hundreds of millions of dollars are playing arbitrage. If I had to guess, you see APE go up a little bit, AMC come down a little bit. But I can't guarantee that. Candace says, I hate that I heard in someone's video with Adam Aaron saying he was planning on buying more theaters. I actually hate that too, Candace. I've said that many times. If Adam Aaron was able to, for example, raise $2 billion after the conversion and reverse split, my first preference would be just put that in the checking account. If I see him raise $2 billion and then go spend $1.2 billion buying some other theaters, I don't know that I'm going to be real happy about that. Same token, I don't think I'd be real happy if he raised $2 billion and used $1.5 billion to pay off debt. Like, you're going to have to explain it to me in a way that makes sense. But none of the debt the most of it is not due till like 2026. And the interest payment, it's $80 million a quarter. And, while that is expensive and paying down the debt would knock 10, 20, 30 million a quarter off of that, I'm more concerned about having liquidity to survive until we're bringing in a profit every quarter. Now, if Adam Aaron were to raise $5, $7, $10 billion, well, then, he's got free reign to do just about whatever he wants. But that's really the debate, right? Is he going to dump 400 million shares? Is he going to dump 100 million? By dump, I mean dilution. If it's only 100 million and he's able to get $2 billion, let's be conservative. Let's say AMC starts trading after the reverse split at 30 and he starts selling and it drops to 20. So let's just take the worst case. Let's say he raises $2 billion. My preference, and I've said this many times and I'll keep on saying it, even if he does something different than what I wish for, is my preference would be $2 billion on the balance sheet and don't touch it. And don't add to our debt. Now, clearly I'm not privy to all the things they're looking at. If we got competitors, right? We got Cinemark, which is doing fine. And then we have another company called Cineworld, and their U.S. company here is Regal, and they are going through bankruptcy. Regal, it is in the top 3 with AMC and Cinemark. What is AMC thinking is going to happen to all those theaters if they go bankrupt? Is someone else going to buy? Would AMC make a chess move to prevent Cinemark from buying them and becoming larger than AMC? Like, that could be a concern they have. I really don't know what all things they're looking at, but we need to consider if that comes up, that they're buying Regal, we need to think about, why are they doing that? Maybe they're trying to prevent Cinemark from becoming bigger. But just right now at face level, I'm so sick of having $5 billion in debt. Not a big fan of taking on more debt. If Adam Aaron made $5 billion and spent $1.5 billion to buy Regal, okay, well, maybe you can sell me on that, but it's not high on my list. Let's just say that acquiring more theaters is not high on my personal list. Hey, Annie, welcome back. Roseanne says, aren't most companies in debt? Many companies have debt. Yeah, many have much more debt than AMC. The problem becomes, Roseanne, when you have debt and you're losing money, then you're a distressed company and you attract shorts like flies to horse shit. When you have debt, and our debt, is more than our cash balance. It's more than our current assets. The financials right now, the balance sheet is a wreck for AMC. This is why it's being shorted. And it's why I'm going to keep saying the best way to fix the company is to fix the balance sheet and have back-to-back profitable quarters. Right? GME, everyone likes to say, well, why are they still shorting GME? They just posted a profit. They have no debt. They've got cash. Well, GME is not AMC. It's in a completely different industry. They have a lot to prove, that they're going to be able to maintain back-to-back profitable quarters in an industry where gaming is moving to digital downloads. So the story could change for GameStop if they're able to continue executing. But right now, the market's still betting against them. And I don't think you should ignore that. Doesn't mean you need to be bearish for GME, but you need to understand the market's viewpoint. But they're better financially positioned than AMC. No debt, big cash on the balance sheet, but they have industry specific risk that they need to address, and they are working on it by cutting costs and doing what they're doing. So we will see. We'll see in the next 2 quarters how GameStop performs. Sufyan says the best way for MOAS is a catalyst like a profitable quarter. Or a couple, Sufyan. Imagine 2 or 3 profitable quarters in a row where, really, the risk of bankruptcy is off the table because you're not burning your cash every quarter. You're stacking it up. Now, are we going to make enough cash in 2024 to pay off a billion or $5 billion in debt? No, we're not. But we can start chipping away at it, and we can definitely, be looked at much more favorably on Wall Street when we're regularly posting profits. And I get a lot of comments. People say, well, I keep on hearing these movies are making all this money. How can AMC be losing money? AMC is like a cruise ship that is cruising on a 1-year tour and only half the rooms are filled. That cruise ship is losing money. It's like a plane that flies from LA to New York with 20 people on it. They're losing money on that flight, but they're committed to providing the plane or the ship. AMC has all these locations, all these people. They're locked into leases. They can't just walk away from a lease without having the lease accelerated and all the entire lease immediately demanded all of it now. They are just trying to survive till till the movies catch back up. That is the game right now. And we need about 11 to 12 billion domestic box office. We were at 7 billion last year. We should be at 9 billion this year. And with God's luck, with God's help, 11, 12 billion next year. Once that is happening, that there's enough movies and everybody's going back to the theaters, and you're seeing that if you're paying attention to the news, that's all happening. It's moving that direction. Once that's happening, there's enough butts and seats to not only pay the bills, but to make money. That's what Adam was saying. You know, your profits come on the last 30% of revenue. We're approaching break even, but we're still in money losing because the movies out there just aren't enough to generate enough for AMC to make a profit. Doesn't matter how fantastic Mario does or Avatar. One or two good movies is not enough. You got to pay those bills 365 days a year. You need hits like that every week, a Mario, a Avatar. And that's how it was in 2018, 2019. And so we need to get back there. And then very easily, this company could be profitable. John says, if Regal goes under, could that hurt? And if the bondholders panic? I mean, whatever happens with Regal is, if Regal completely shut down, I think in the short term, that would be bullish for AMC. And why do I say that? Because if they just shut down and people want to go to movies, your number 2 competitor is no longer showing the movies. Where are people going to go? They're going to go to AMC or Cinemark. So it would be good for the price of AMC and Cinemark if Regal completely shut down. What ends up happening with those locations through a bankruptcy process is that's harder to say. All right, we'll do 9 more minutes. 9 more minutes of Q&A. If you're new here, you know, everyone always says I'm defending Adam Aaron or I'm in love with Adam Aaron. I'm not in contact with Adam Aaron. I met him one time in Dallas a year ago for a movie screening, like many people. And I didn't have him sign anything. I chatted with him for a couple minutes. It was that's the only time I've ever talked to him. I've sent him a few complaints about things on DMs. Never got a response. So I'm not a particular fanboy of Adam Aaron. What I try and do with CEOs is judge whether or not I think they're doing things to improve their companies or not. Hey, babe, give me nine minutes. Oh, your nails look very nice. Wifey just got back from getting her nails done. So, yeah, give me 9 minutes, babe. Very cute. I try and judge if a CEO's trying to do the right things for their company, and if they're not, I'll call them out on it. And if they are, then I'll try and explain to you what they are doing. I'm sure that comment right there will generate some questions. Hey, AMC Panda, will the popcorn profits be adding into the next earnings? So I'm not factoring any major popcorn profits into Q1. We do have someone asking tomorrow in Vegas to Adam Aaron at the screening. We have someone set up to ask him if he can tell us what the profit margin is on the grocery store popcorn, because I think many people are assuming that it's 80%. Like AMC's making $3 on a $4 bag. I think it's more like 25% because it's not popcorn in a theater. That you're got an 80% profit margin. popcorn that you manufacture, put in a bag, ship, pay the distributor, pay the grocery store, probably about 25%, but we're going to try and get that number. The amount that was sold in March, I think, is not going to be a meaningful contributor, but I'd love to be incorrect about that. And as it gets more and more in Walmart and then other locations, I don't know if y'all can see, I got stacks of AMC bags back there. Found some microwave popcorn. It's in the stores here now, but I had to hunt everywhere. Everywhere I went, it was already sold out the first day. So they got to get that supply ramped up. And once things hit a good stride, yes, it will contribute something to every quarter. But I can't tell you what just yet. And I'm not going to make these crazy guesses that people, $100 million a year. I don't know. We don't know what quantity they're producing. We don't know what the profit margin is. So once I know that, I'll gladly talk about it. I am excited. Anything is better than nothing, right? 1 million is better than 0. I'm never going to talk bad about the popcorn. Whether it's 1 million, 10 million, 20 million per quarter, it's all good. Bill A says, any thoughts on Interactive Brokers making AMC 1 close only? I didn't know about that. We've been chatting on the Discord about AMC 1. And no, I don't have... I guess they're doing that because APE is going away. And the deliverable for an AMC 1 option is AMC plus APE. And you won't be able to deliver the deliverable. So that is probably why they're doing that. GD says $1 a bag isn't going to put much of a dent in anything, right? I mean, that's why I want to communicate to you guys that my view is a little more conservative. $1 a bag is, I think, a safe, reasonable assumption of the profit. And then we gotta guess what's the quantity. I don't know. Did they sell 1 million bags in March? Did they sell 100,000? How many are they going to sell this quarter? I know it will get bigger and bigger every quarter because they are planning on going outside Walmart. Once you get sales proven in Walmart, it's very easy to go to your Kroger's, Randall's, Whole Foods, wherever. I don't know if we'll be in Whole Foods. It's easier to go get shelf space elsewhere once you have demonstrated sales. So they have a strategy. Yes, corrupt. I will be making a video. And this live stream actually got interrupted, so I did just a talk through in the beginning, part 1 of this live and part 2. I'll stitch them together in one 10-minute video. The end of this video right now that we're in is just Q&A. That's not going to be in the summary video that I publish. Yeah, I'd love to see some kettle corn from AMC and cheddar and a bunch of other flavors also. When is the reverse split, Matthew? If the settlement happens at the end of June, then I expect the AMC will have already pre-filed the paperwork with the Secretary of State of Delaware and the NYSE to affect both the changes to the Articles of Incorporation, the reverse split, and the conversion. And so it would probably be a matter of very short order. I don't know if I can tell you. I want to say next day, but I can't promise that. Jason says, I wonder if Adam Aaron really believed in retail and asked us to clear some of the debt. I don't know if I 100% answer your question, but I would urge all of you, it's one of my best videos that not enough people have watched. I did it about a week ago. It's a humorous take on CEOs. It's called the CEO Handbook Training. And I want you to go watch that if you haven't watched it. I am playing a role as a trainer of CEOs. But you guys that have been around, you always hear me talk about the CEO Handbook. This, oh man. Where's my screen? I can't even, my screen background's not even here. Anyways, you guys hear me talk about the CEO Handbook. It's very predictable what these CEOs do when they have a messed up balance sheet. So predictable that people wonder, how do I always know what's going to happen? Because it happens every damn time, every ticker. The dilution and the what was he using retail? Yeah, I mean, it's called an equity raise for a reason. That's why it is critical for you guys to, if you're holding a stock more than a couple days, to become familiar with reading a balance sheet so you know if you're getting in a fucked up play or not. And then you can decide, all right, I know this company is heavily in debt. I know they're losing hundreds of millions of dollars a quarter, or in a case of someone like Mullen, $800 million a quarter. That's a fucked up play. Mullen is not being shorted to death. They are literally driving a train off a cliff on their financials. They might be being shorted because of that, but Mullen's problems are its own. So it's important for you to understand that, and then you can break away from all this clickbait that you're being told that everything is the fault of the shorts. No, the fault is you bought in a company that's losing money and you didn't realize that. So let's become better investors, better educated. And then if we still willingly go into it, we can say, all right, I knew the situation and I decided to risk it anyways. And if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to blame the CEO. I know I can see he's losing $1 billion a year. I can read between the lines and know what's coming. It's going to be dilution or more debt. It never fucking fails, guys. And if they don't do dilution or more debt, the only other option is bankruptcy. And that's a very real risk for Mullen also. This is not hard. This is not rocket science what I do here, but just a lot of people aren't used to doing it. Do I think Al will have his motion to intervene denied? I don't know. I saw the letter. I'll say, you know, I don't have a lot of good things to say about Al, but that letter was fairly well written. Just like I thought Mr. Tuttle's letter was fairly well written. So, hey, I can pass out compliments when they're due. Whether or not he'll be heard by the judge, I don't know. All right, it is 9:30. I really, you know, don't want to be up till midnight, at least not on this video. Maybe I'll go hang out with the wife, and for any late night owls, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Any of you that are up late or rising early over in the UK, I may come back on in a couple hours. I need to download these two videos and stitch them together and get out a 10-minute of just the beginning for people that don't want to watch the whole live stream. It's intimidating to some people. I'm not going to watch a 2-hour video. Please look at JM's question. All right, Angelina, thank you. Let me find it. Okay, JM says, I still wonder how the settlement payout will affect shorts since the payout is coming from authorized company inventory based on common stock. That's a good question, JM. Give me a second. A short has sold a share to someone. Let's say it's to you, JM. And so you're going to get the payout. But the short borrowed the share from somebody. Many of them did anyways. And yeah, I would presume that if they were borrowing the shares, that the person they borrowed them for would expect to also get a payment when it comes back. But since they're coming from the company, man, I'm gonna have to have a drink and think on that and talk with some other smart people. I don't want to say the wrong thing, JM. We'll try and get back with you on that though. Excellent question. Yeah, I think that sounds right. The lender needs to get paid. So it would probably create an obligation to the short from the lender. That's what I would think. Stephen, yeah, the stream got cut, so go watch the first few minutes of the first one, but I'm going to stitch them together into one quick video so that anyone who doesn't want to listen to the Q&A doesn't have to listen to that. Thank you guys. Have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully this was helpful. There will be official notification coming out on AMC's website, 8Ks, Twitter. Whether you want to write a letter of objection or support, I don't care. I'll get the information out to you again, but the best place to get it is from the official communication. And remember, you're writing letters of objection or support and sending them to the plaintiff's attorney, not to the courthouse this time. Have a good evening, y'all. If I can be back on later tonight for a smoke and a glass of bourbon, I'll try and do that. Woo. Have a good night.